Alright guys, welcome to the video, and today we are going to be attempting to prove every single phasor relationship formula in solid mechanics. So let us begin. So the first relationship that we have is that the unit weight is equal to 1 plus the moisture content times GS times gamma water over 1 plus E. So in order to find this, the first thing that we have to recognize is that the unit weight is equal to the total weight over the total volume. Now, let's go ahead and draw our phasor relationship. We have air, water, and solids. The total weight, I'm going to call this W total, is equal to the weight of water plus the weight of solids. The total volume is equal to the volume of air and water. So we'll call the first one void plus V water plus V solid. So this is air, sorry. So as I said, V air and V water, we can call this V void. So in reality, the total volume is equal to the volume of voids plus the volume of solids. Now E is known as the void ratio and is equal to the void, or the volume of voids, sorry, over the volume of solids. If we assume that Vs is equal to 1, so Vs equals 1 unit, then E is going to equal the volume of voids, and V total will simply be E plus 1. So we can replace our V total by E plus 1 or 1 plus E. Now for the total weight is of course equal to the weight of water plus the weight of solids. Omega is equal to the weight of water times the weight of solids. So the weight of water is equal to omega times the weight of solids. By cross multiplication, we take omega over 1 and we cross multiply. Now, the last thing that we need to prove is that the weight of solids has a relationship that binds it to GS, which is the specific gravity of solids, and gamma water, which is the unit weight of water. So how do we do that? Well, by taking a look at the unit weight of solids, we can see that the unit weight of solids is equal to the weight of solids over the volume of solids. Now remember that we assumed that the volume of solids is equal to 1 unit. So the weight of solid is equal to the unit weight of solid, simply put. We can now multiply by 1 over the unit weight of water. So the weight of solids over the unit weight of water is equal to the unit weight of solids divided by the unit weight of water is equal to GS by definition. And now we can cross multiply to show that the unit weight, the weight of solids is equal to the specific gravity of solids times the unit weight of water. So what does this mean? Let's go ahead and erase here and now write out our equation. The unit weight is equal to 1 plus omega times the weight of solids. Why? Because the weight of water, remember that the total weight is the weight of water plus the weight of solids. And the weight of water is simply omega times the weight of solids. So we can factor out the weight of solids to obtain 1 plus omega times the unit weight of, 1 plus omega times the weight of solids over 1 plus the void ratio. And since we proved that the weight of solids is equal to GS times gamma water, we can now replace 1 plus omega times gamma water times GS over 1 plus E, proving our first formula. Alright, so previously we proved that, let me go ahead and erase that. So previously we proved that the weight of solids is equal to the specific gravity of solids times the unit weight of water. We also proved that we can, by assuming that Vs is equal to 1 unit, we can also write the volume of the entirety of our soil sample as E plus 1. Now we need to prove this formula. Alright, so to prove this formula, we're going to use a pretty powerful identity, which is that SE is equal to W times GS. Now E, as we mentioned, is the void ratio, defined by the volume of voids over the volume of solids. S is called the degree of saturation, and it is given by the formula volume of water over the volume of voids. Now multiplying E times S, the volume of water times the volume of voids, so if I write SE here, times the volume of voids over the volume of solids, we can see that the volume of voids cancels out. Sorry, this is volume of water. My apologies. So this is, volume of voids over the volume of solids. Yes, we can see that the volume of voids cancels out. And the volume of solids, we are still considering it as 1 unit. So S times E will net the volume of water. Now, W times GS is quite interesting. W is the weight of water over the weight of solids. And GS is obviously the unit weight of solids over the unit weight of water. Now, since this is a ratio, we can go ahead and convert this into the following. The weight of water over the weight of solid times the unit weight of solids is the weight of solids. So the unit weight of solids is the weight of solids divided by the volume of solids. But we assumed that the volume of solids is equal to 1. So the unit weight of solids is simply the weight of the solids. The unit weight of water is the weight of water divided by the volume of water. And here we have to keep this relation. And since it's on the bottom, this will flip. So we multiply by the weight of solids times the volume of water over the weight of water. And we can see here that the weight of water will cancel out up and down, and the weight of solids will cancel out up and down, and you're left with the volume of water. And thus, we can now prove this relation above, since S times E, the degree of saturation times the void ratio, is equal to the volume of water, and since omega times GS is also equal to the volume of water, then SE indeed will equal W times GS. To go ahead and make our life easier, we can make use of the formula that we proved just a few minutes ago, which is that the total unit weight is equal to 1 plus, so the total unit weight is equal to 1 plus omega times GS gamma water over 1 plus E. Now, by bringing GS back into the equation, by bringing GS back into the parentheses, we can see that GS plus WGS times gamma water over 1 plus E. And we will now remember the formula that we proved just a second ago, which is that SE is equal to WGS. So now we can go ahead and replace, obtaining the final formula and proving our goal, which was GS plus SE times the gamma of water, unit weight of water, over 1 plus void ratio. 2 for 2. All right, so in order to prove the following formula, where the total unit weight is equal to GS times gamma water times 1 minus N times 1 plus the moisture content, we have to make use of porosity. And this time, rather than assuming that Vs is equal to 1 unit, we are going to assume that V, which constitutes the total volume, is equal to 1 unit. So if V is equal to 1 unit, then N is simply equal to the volume of voids. Previously, we proved that the weight of solids is equal to GS times gamma water times the volume of solids. Now, since the volume of solids is no longer equal to 1 unit, or rather it's no longer assumed to equal 1 unit, and the total volume instead is assumed to equal 1 unit, then we can say that the total volume, which is 1 unit, is equal to the volume of voids plus the volume of solids. We can see that the volume of voids is simply equal to n, the porosity, so the volume of solids will therefore equal 1 minus n. So to replace this, we can see that the weight of solids is now equal GS times gamma water times 1 minus n. The moisture content, by definition, is the weight of water over the weight of solids. So the weight of water is equal to gamma times the weight of solids. So this would be GS gamma water times omega 1 minus n. Now we can see that the total unit weight is always going to equal the total weight over the total volume. The total volume is equal to 1 as it was assumed or it was taken. So we now see that the total weight is simply the weight of solids plus the weight of water. We can factor out GS, gamma water, and 1 minus n, which will leave us with 1 plus W. So the total unit weight is simply equal to GS times gamma water times 1 minus n into 1 plus W. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out more, and you can visit our website at jabourtutoring.com. Thank you for watching.